So in a shocking announcement, the CDC is now removing the COVID vaccine from the schedule for healthy children. Also, Tom Homan responds to the Nashville mayor, who's now under federal investigation. And Laura Trump speaks out on that apology from Jake Tapper that she received.
I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule. Last year, the Biden administration urged healthy children to get yet another COVID shot despite the lack of any clinical data to support the repeat booster strategy in children.
That ends today. It's common sense and it's good science.
There's no evidence healthy kids need it today, and most countries have stopped recommending it for children.
We're now one step closer to realizing President Trump's promise to make America healthy again.
All right, so this is a huge announcement, well overdue, of course, and I got to tell you, a lot of people are losing their mind, and so we're going to look at some of these clips. But first, let's use Ground News to take a look at the facts and see what both sides are saying. And if you want to follow along, just go to ground.news/Devori. Now, one of the reasons why they're doing this is because the FDA has cited insufficient clinical evidence to justify booster shots in low-risk children and expectant mothers. And key point right here is that RFK is saying that, hey, listen, we no longer will advise for pregnant women and children in good health to take the vaccine. It doesn't mean they're taking the vaccine away. And I want you to keep that thought in your mind, because when I show you what the left is saying, that's their narrative they're deciding to push. And in fact, let's just go to it right here. Here's Dr. Gupta from CNN, right? The guy who was embarrassed on Joe Rogan. Yeah, here's what he had to say about it. Take a listen.
Sanjay, while we have you, I also want to get your reaction. HHS Secretary RFK Jr. announced today that the government is no longer going to recommend the COVID vaccine for children, for healthy children, and for healthy pregnant women. He said it's common sense, good science. What does the science say about the vaccines?
You know, I think there's a couple of things. First of all, you know, I think it's fair to say that for a lot of kids, if they got COVID, it didn't amount to a lot other than a bad cold for them. And also that there is a lot of immunity now in the community, either through vaccination or because of natural infection as well. The concern is this, Jake, the virus changes. Unlike measles, when you get an inoculation, a vaccination should last you for life, if not a very long time. With flu, with COVID, we know the virus can change. And I think that's part of what's driving the thinking on getting more regular sort of shots. When it comes to kids, again, they are less likely than adults to get sick.
Okay, so he's saying everything that we already know. And quite frankly, he sounds like he's struggling to admit that RFK Jr. is right. Now, let me show you exactly what both sides are saying in the media, because again, don't take my word for it. Definitely don't take Dr. Gupta's word for it. Use Ground News to do your own research. Just go to ground.news/Devori to follow along here. Now, on the left, Huffington Post says this. RFK Jr. says COVID shot will no longer be advised for healthy kids, pregnant women. Okay, but read the subtitle here. Prior to his confirmation as HHS secretary, the vaccine skeptic insisted he didn't want to take vaccines away. He's not banning the COVID vaccine. Why are they using this language? Now, here's an article that leans right from The Blaze. HHS scraps COVID vaccine schedule for children and pregnant women. It's common sense and it's good science. Quote, there's no evidence healthy kids need it today. Now, you guys can see that both sides have their own spin on this announcement. But the fact remains, you got to do your own research. And in order to do that effectively, you need a good tool like Ground News. So if you want to use this tool for yourself, all you have to do is go to ground.news/Devori, or you could download the mobile app. Just use promo code Devori, and it's going to give you access to everything that I showed you in this video, including 40% off the Vantage plan.
But let me share some context with you. If you look over a few-year period, how many kids do you think were hospitalized with COVID? Close to 250,000 between the fall of 2020 and the spring of 2024. 250,000. And around half of those kids, Jake, were considered healthy kids. They did not have pre-existing conditions. So that's the challenge. You know, there could be kids who seem perfectly healthy. They get COVID. They develop long COVID, so persistent symptoms, or they get really sick and required hospitalizations at much, much lower rates than adults, certainly older adults, but it still happens quite a bit.
See, that is why the American people do not trust the experts. They cannot give us a straight answer to save their life. This guy's all over the place with the response there. Just say, generally speaking, do healthy children require the COVID vaccine? Common sense would tell you, no, they don't. But again, I'm not the expert, so definitely don't listen to me, right? Now, let me just go over really quickly what the pushback is, because it's not the fact that this COVID vaccine is no longer being recommended to healthy children and pregnant women that are healthy. It's that RFK Jr. made this decision. And when he made the decision, he ran around the advisory board and did not consider their opinion and did not allow them to weigh in on this. So they're losing their mind over it. And to show you an example of that, here is one of the individuals on that board on CNN saying this.
Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Offit. First, your reaction to this new guidance on COVID-19 vaccine boosters.
I think it's a bad recommendation. I mean, you certainly know that by 6 months of age, all children will be vulnerable to a virus that is continuing to circulate. There have been retrospective studies looking at children, meaning people less than 18 years of age, who've gotten a yearly vaccine to show that there is benefit. So it doesn't make sense. I think it puts children unnecessarily in harm's way. And there have been about 1,000 deaths from COVID during this pandemic in children. About 1/3 of those deaths were in children who were perfectly healthy before that. So I think it's a bad idea. Also, I don't like it that they didn't consult advisory committees. They didn't consult the public. They just went behind closed doors and made this decision unilaterally from a man, RFK Jr., who said that he believes in transparency, and he said that he won't take vaccines away from anybody who wants them, and he's done neither of those things.
All right. Well, number one, he is being transparent. He's being transparent for the parents out there who have to make these decisions. Now, he's doing what you guys failed to do. See, you guys use fear to force parents to make decisions they were uncomfortable with. You left them no choices, and you didn't even share the information. So quite frankly, he is being transparent. And for the record, there's data to back up what he is doing. Point number one is this. Countries like the UK and Australia, they've already done this. Point number two, he's allowing a more centralized decision-making process. Instead of just going to some advisory board, he also consulted with senior health officials. So the bottom line is this, ladies and gentlemen. One, based on the data, they should be focusing on high-risk groups, not low-risk groups. And more importantly, we should stop freaking people out. And I think this is why it's a great move by RFK Jr. Now, let's go to our next story. And this is a follow-up from that Nashville mayor who's being federally investigated for helping illegal aliens evade arrest. We have a fresh reaction from Tom Homan himself. Let's take a look.
Do you think this would rise perhaps to the level of charging him with obstruction of these ICE officials?
We'll see. I mean, I know Homeland Oversight is opening up a congressional investigation. I cannot confirm or deny if ICE is investigating him, but we'll see where it plays out. And it isn't just what he says, it's what he does. So, I plan on going to Nashville in the near future, and I said that from day one that we're going to hit every sanctuary city. Everybody that wants to push back against ICE, we're going to pay a lot of attention to them, because why? It's not a threat. But if you're going to support criminal aliens walking the street, then we know there's a problem there. We don't have that problem like Florida. We got Governor DeSantis 287G across the state. So we can spend less resources in Florida knowing we have a system to get criminal aliens in every jail in that state. But when we got places like Nashville who's pushing against us getting the bad guy, that's where we got to concentrate our resources to make those streets safer. He ought to be thanking ICE for arresting the criminal aliens they arrested. They arrested, as you said earlier, a sex offender, several people that are convicted of violent crimes, gang members, and illegal aliens that were deported many times before, which means now they're a felon. We made his streets safer. A thank you would be nice, not attacking the men and women of ICE.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all would agree with Tom Homan on this one for sure. And the problem is that if you're the mayor of a city, you would think your first priority is to keep people who live in your community and city safe. I mean, and the first way to do that is to get people who don't even belong there in the first place out of there. Now, I would understand if someone grew up there and was committing crimes, I would get that. But if someone is there but shouldn't be there and they're committing crimes, wouldn't you want them out? I mean, I don't know. 1 + 1 = 2 to me, but for them, it didn't seem that way.
Declares itself a sanctuary or acts like one, when it refuses to cooperate with ICE, when it shelters those who have broken our laws, that decision doesn't stay contained. It endangers everyone nearby, and we're seeing the consequences of that. The strain on local law enforcement, the pressure on our schools and our hospitals, more gang activity, more drugs, more danger. That's not just bad policy, It's a betrayal of the public trust.
And that's why I told you guys this stuff is infuriating, because we can actually prevent the worst case scenario from happening. What is the worst case scenario? I don't know, when an illegal alien does something and kills an American citizen, whether they intentionally wanted to do it because they're a murderer and a sick individual, or they unintentionally did it because they're in this country illegally, playing games and doing things they shouldn't be doing, which is what happened in this next story. An Air Force veteran was just killed by 2 illegal aliens. Hear it for yourself.
18-year-old Ava Moore was kayaking at Lake Grapevine when police say that she was struck and killed by a jet ski with 2 women on it. Authorities were looking for the driver of that jet ski, who they say fled the scene by jumping into a vehicle with a man at the park. As mentioned, we do know that police have Daikerlin Alejandra Gonzalez in custody, the suspect that they believe is tied to the death of Moore. Earlier today, I spoke to Ava's basketball coach at the Air Force Prep Academy and also one of her teammates. They say that she had just finished at the academy and was headed to basic training in a few weeks. They're obviously heartbroken by her death.
Well, there's a lot of sadness, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain. Obviously, none of us saw it coming, but and then it goes to anger that they left, anger that they didn't even see if she was okay.
So she just cared about not only her teammates, but her whole country. And I think that's like the hardest part, is that she really was going to be a difference maker in protecting us and serving us. And it's just hard knowing that.
And this is just another sad story that could have been avoided. And of course, Democrats, you don't see them showing up to this neighborhood or to the family, hosting a press conference looking to hold this illegal alien accountable. No, you're not going to see them do that whatsoever. And that's the unfortunate part about the position that Democrats find themselves in. They continue to do things that alienate the average person away from them. It's just crazy. This does not have to happen, folks. Okay, so now we're going to go to our next story, and this is about the Democrat Party. More polls are coming out, continuing to show how bad it truly is. And also, Fox News took this entire thing to the streets and asked Democrat voters how they felt. Here's what they said.
This begs a larger question about who is, in fact, the leader of the Democratic Party. And a recent poll showed Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez topping the list of Democrats who best represent the party's values. Senator Schumer got just 2% in that poll, and it's been a big concern for months. So the Faulkner Focus went out to ask the question, who is the leader of the party?
Oh, God, the House is completely in shambles. So I couldn't tell you.
They don't really have a standout leader right now.
Who is it? Beats me.
There isn't one.
I have no idea.
AOC and Bernie. It's like a duo.
I guess probably Barack Obama at this point, or George Clooney.
AOC maybe, I don't know.
Maybe still Kamala? Buttigieg is really one of the good ones. I think AOC.
I think it's just a bunch of old people that are refusing to let go of power.
They've all collapsed. I'm very furious at them. I don't even want to donate to them because of them hiding what was happening with Biden.
Yeah, so I guess when you're trying to fight against President Trump, every second of the day, you forget all the fights that you're having internally. And this current scandal is the biggest fight that they have. And I don't think they have the energy nor the organization to even handle this. This will destroy the party as we know it. And I think their only chance to victory is going to come from someone who's on the outside of all of this. And it also doesn't help that most of America, in my opinion, is definitely shifting to the right because they see the nonsense from the left. And I believe Michael Knowles made that point as well. Take a listen.
The Democrats just can't help themselves. The Democrats are looking at this report out today in the New York Times shows that nearly half the countries in the country are triple trending Republican. Basically, none are triple trending Democrat. They have lost the people. And rather than look in the mirror and say, maybe we need to offer people something different, they say, no, we just need to speak in a way that these dumb idiots can understand. You heard their line. They said, we're speaking in a way that's too professorial. No, the problem isn't the words you're using. It's that you're offering open borders and crime and men in the women's bathroom and all sorts of things that the people don't want. The people are smart enough, and they're smart enough to reject you at the polls.
So I am of the opinion that it's over for this party. One reason is what Michael Knowles just say. They still have yet to change their language or messaging. Number two, they don't even have the proper messenger. Number three, they continue to push policies that most of America are going to continue to reject. Number 4, they obsess too much over President Trump. I mean, he's the sun in their own universe, if you know what I mean. And I think more importantly, this Biden scandal is the nail in the coffin, especially when Jake Tapper continues to make appearances on mainstream media and podcasts, and he keeps beating this same drum of how big of a scandal this really is. Take a look.
It is a scandal.
Yes.
It is without question, and maybe even worse than Watergate in some ways.
Right.
Because Richard Nixon was in control of his faculties when he wasn't drinking. And, so the idea that, we don't mean to exonerate. The only reason that we have the Watergate thing is there because we quote Archibald Cox, who was a Watergate investigator, talking about how powerful the presidency is and how presidents get surrounded by people who have a vested interest in keeping that president propped up. So that's the only reason we invoke Watergate, is just to make clear, like, it's not Watergate. Right. This is an entirely separate scandal. Maybe even worse. Maybe even worse.
Yeah, so it's no question that it's worse for so many different reasons. And again, for people like you and me, we're not shocked by all this. In fact, I think I'm shocked by how shameless Jake Tapper is, and especially other Democrats who are profiting off this entire story that is nothing new to us. But hey, they got to do what they got to do. I get it. Now, Laura Trump actually made an appearance on Fox News as a guest to confirm the apology that she received, I guess if that's what you want to call it, from Jake Tapper after he, ridiculed her live on TV when she questioned Joe Biden's mental faculties at that time. Here's what she said just recently. Take a look.
Laura, when did that apology come? And if you don't mind sharing with us, what did he say?
Yeah, Jake Tapper called me about 2 months ago, actually. And he said, I have this book coming out, and I know everybody's saying that I should apologize to you. I plan, whenever the book comes out, to go on TV and I will say, you were right and I was wrong. And I guess to Jake's credit, he did that. Now, Laura, I think the overarching thing here, though, is that the damage is done, right? We were so close to something so dangerous happening to this country. I mean, look at what actually happened. Look at the millions of illegal immigrants able to pour in. People are questioning now, who was actually in charge of this country. I guess whoever was in charge of the auto pen. We really have to think about what would have happened if Joe Biden would have been elected. These people would have swept his condition under the rug even more. And Jake Tapper saying that this is like a Watergate level type of situation. Now that he played a role in it, it feels a little bit too late to me. I do appreciate that he did keep his word, though, and come out and say that I was right.
Yeah, so in other words, there was no apology. It was just a heads up in regards to what he was going to do. And the problem they're going to continue to have, especially mainstream media, and especially people like Jake Tapper, is every time they go to criticize President Trump, even if they're right, they have no credibility. Because when it really mattered, they were nowhere to be found. And now they act like we're stupid and they're just shocked by all of this information. And then they get even more sneaky with it by just saying, well, it's the White House fault. Okay, sure. Yeah, it's just craziness. Now, let's get your guys' reaction to these stories in the comment section below. Starting with the Air Force veteran that was killed by 2 illegal aliens. You heard the story there. That is another prime example when Democrats don't want to take these issues seriously. Let me know what you guys think about that sad story. Secondly, RFK Jr. making this huge announcement about pulling the COVID vaccine as a recommendation for healthy children and pregnant women. Do you believe this is the right move? Let me know as well in the comment section below. Now, earlier, President Trump made some news when he issued a threat to Gavin Newsom in California for continuing to allow male athletes to compete in female sports. Because once again, a junior in high school who was born a man is now going to the state championship for track and field. If you missed out on that story and much more from earlier today, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.